What would you do if in an instant, the thing you love most was taken away? Most would say, I'm not sure. Some would say, I'd find something else to love. A year ago, I wouldn't have been able to answer that question. That is because losing what I thought I loved most, volleyball, felt like losing myself. Everyone is always talking about happiness. You chase it, you find it temporarily, and then it slips, like happiness is a never-ending battle. But what I've learned about happiness is that it wasn't all about my sport. I know, surprise, surprise. Sure, the endorphins, the adrenaline, the thrill of winning, it all feels so amazing. But happiness runs deeper than we often think. Happiness is not just based off one or two aspects of yourself or the things that you think define you. I'm not saying that your passions don't help you be happy, because whatever it may be, it helps you be your best self. But what happens if that happiness that you were once chasing disappears? That's what I had to figure out for myself last January when I sprinted after a ball, crashed into a bench I didn't see, and felt the most excruciating pain I've ever experienced. To be fair, the bench blended in with the ground very well, both were made of wood. Anyway, 1 second, I was an athlete, determined, training harder than ever and aiming to play post-secondary. But the next, I had a swarm of parents, doctors, and coaches hovering over me, trying to keep me calm, telling me it's going to be okay. In that moment, I believed them. I was originally told that I would just need some stitches. Everybody thought that the blood was only a result of a bad surface wound. They told me in 10 days I could play again. The thought that I could play in 10 days, that everything would be normal, reassured me. An hour passed and the paramedics arrived. When they took off the bandages, we quickly realized something was very wrong. The cut on my shin was very small, but my pain was extreme. At the hospital, the doctor took my leg in 2 hands and slightly twisted it, and I screamed. We all knew that there would be no chance I'd be back on the court in 10 days. Hi, I'm Charlotte Rees. You might remember me from emails such as, "What's for lunch?" And, well, that's about it. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people talk about their injuries and what they've learned from them. And I used to think, just like you might be thinking now, okay, but how is this even relatable? Not everyone is going to break their leg or have some dramatic moment that changes everything. I get that, and I would have thought the same thing. But here's the part that is relatable. No matter what we do, you have something that you kind of believe defines you. And if that thing were to be suddenly taken away, whether you didn't make the part in the play you worked very hard for, had a falling out with a close friend, or didn't get into a university program you'd hoped for, you're left asking, who am I now? That's the question I had to face. As for many, volleyball wasn't just a sport to me. It was how I exercised, an emotional outlet. It was my social life, and at the time, I couldn't imagine life without it. It was my routine, my structure, my sense of purpose. So when I was told by the doctors that I'd likely be out for the entire season, it genuinely felt like my world ended. The first week was brutal. There's no sugarcoating it. I passed out a couple times. I couldn't shower for a week. The slightest movement would send me screaming from pain. I was constantly nauseous, isolated from my friends. But the worst part was that I lost a lot of my independence. So I cried, a lot, which might be surprising because this is a speech about happiness. Did you know that if you smile even though you aren't happy, it's the same effect on your brain as actually being happy? You can literally outsmart your own brain. So when I came back to school, I wore a smile. Not because I was fine, but because I needed my mind to believe that I was. The thing was, the more I smiled and the more I laughed, before I knew it, I was actually becoming happier. That's not to say that I was suddenly happy or had some sort of epiphany, because I didn't. Everything I am sharing with you today, I have been learning slowly. Some lessons only clicked a couple weeks ago. And the truth is, a lot of us walk a fine line between genuinely trying to heal and just pretending that we are okay. It's a hard line to balance on, and through it all, I was right there too, hiding behind a smile that made it easy for people to believe that I was okay. Because of this, I don't think many people truly realized how deeply my injury affected me emotionally. But I think that the battles we hide behind our smiles are the ones that truly matter, because they shape who we are and how we grow. Even now, I still feel the effects of the break. Mostly, I wonder who and where I could have been. Could I have played for the best team? Could I have been scouted? Is it possible for me to play post-secondary? And will I get to play next year for my 18U year of volleyball? I'm back on the court, yes, but an injury like mine changes lives. It can leave chronic pain like my own, and a sense of mourning for what was lost, feelings I'm not sure will ever go away fully. In that moment, I wasn't thinking about any of that. I was just devastated that I couldn't play. It was about 2 weeks into my recovery when I realized it was not just a physical recovery. I was sleeping terribly, struggling academically, and overall, I was overwhelmed. I couldn't just let my body heal my leg and assume I'd be fine once it was over. I was going to have to work on healing myself emotionally too. Now, I'm sure you've all heard how happiness comes from the present moment. Even if it's a repetitive message, it doesn't mean that it's any less important. The things that brought me joy were the small things that were still there, even on the worst of days. I'd argue that the big things in life are always changing. You move, you lose friends, you run into a bench. There's undoubtedly change, no matter how big or small. But what helped me most was focusing on the little parts of my day. Those moments can stay with you, and they add up over time. So trust me when I say that they can make your day. That is, if you absorb that happiness, and bonus points if you pass it on to others. So I want you to take a moment right now and think about the little things that bring you joy. Maybe it's a certain food, a friend who always says hi, the sound of rain, how nice it is to wear polos. Whatever you thought of, hold on to that. Those pieces of happiness you're thinking of right now, although they are small, they're so beautiful. Now I want you to think about those small joys again, the things that make your day brighter. Got it? Now ask yourself, how often do you actually stop and notice those things? Because what I've learned is that we don't actually need to chase happiness, rely on one source, or even wait for grand gestures. What we really need to do is recognize and appreciate the joy that is already all around us. For me, no matter how badly my days sucked, it was and still is as simple of a bowl of mac and cheese after a long day. The way the warm sun beams through the windows in the winter. Playing music and getting fresh air while I get ready in the morning. It could be a good conversation with someone I occasionally talk to. I have so many more, but those all make me smile, so that's happiness to me. It's important to stay present and to notice these things, but happiness isn't just about what you experience. It's also about creating these moments for others. Listen to your friends. Pay attention to what makes them light up. Everyone could use a kind word, a simple check-in, or even a surprise candy. Tell your friends you appreciate them. Be intentional, and be present. One of my strongest memories last year was when my friends would roll me around in my wheelchair outside during lunch. It was fun to be with them, and I could take a break from pushing while getting some fresh air. It was something so simple, but those are the small acts that can really make all of the difference. This is the last chapel speech of the year, and for some, it's the last one that they'll ever hear. Over the time that we've been at Appleby, we've gotten to hear little pieces of others' lives, what made them stronger, and their own unique insights on the world. Some speeches are really funny. Others are inspirational. Some have similar messages, but no matter the style or the story, every speech is an opportunity to relate, reflect, and hopefully gain some wisdom for yourselves. If there's anything I hope you take from mine today, is that happiness doesn't have to be grand, or loud, or even perfect. It can be quiet, or messy, and it's still okay to cry. Happiness can be spread to others when you put yourself out there, or it may be something you overlook in your day-to-day life. No matter how you relate to my speech, or any speech you've heard or will hear. What matters most is that you listen, not just to the words, but to the stories behind them. You never know which shared moment carries a lesson that you may need someday. So tuck these speeches away, because one day, when you least expect it, you might find strengths in the words of someone before you. We're all going to face moments when things change, when what we thought defined us suddenly slips away. And if I've learned anything, it's that happiness and identity aren't made from the big picture. They're made up of the little things, the quiet victories, the everyday joys, the moments that seem small but mean everything. Happiness isn't something you chase. It's something you notice, something you build, piece by piece. And as I've learned, happiness was never a battle. It's simply the art of noticing the moments that were always there, waiting for us. It's all around us, even when times are hard. It's through these small, often overlooked moments that we can truly heal. Whether it's a good laugh, a funny story, or a simple act of kindness, it's these pieces that form who we are. So if you ask me now, what would I do if the thing I loved most was taken away? I would tell you that it was never gone. Volleyball was a part of me, but not all of me. By losing it, I was forced to rediscover the other parts of myself that make me whole. One of my last pieces of advice is if you feel stuck, try to brighten someone else's day, or just smile and trick your brain into believing you're happy. So when you feel that happiness, take a deep breath, look around, and then share it with others. It's all of those things that really make the biggest difference. Thank you for listening, for growing alongside me, and being a part of the moments that make us ourselves. Now please rise for hymn 656.